A dated signed notice arrives, the formal beginning of an internal review inside a rigid hierarchy. Your fingers brush the official seal. The envelope is small, but its weight feels enormous under the system's scrutiny. The notice contains only a date and time, no reasons. The system assumes you know what's at stake. Silence presses in as you read. The word loyalty suddenly becomes measurable, and you're under observation. Behind each tab is a record, past reports, prior findings, the system's long memory waiting to be consulted. You begin pulling files together. Every classification, timestamp, and heading must line up like evidence under a lens. The review room waits like a stage. When the lights come up, every word you say will be cataloged. The phone sits ready, a conduit for orders and questions, often listened to by more than one audience. You call to confirm details, measuring each syllable. In this system, even asking for help is its own risk. A chart on the wall defines who decides and who answers. Your place in that cascade is now under review. You cross-reference entries one by one. Each tiny inconsistency could become a question of loyalty. Old sanctions sit like warnings. The system remembers, and that memory shapes today's stakes. Each item on the desk is proof of effort. Together, they form the dossier you'll be measured against. You draft your notes carefully. One precise line can clarify intent. One sloppy mark can invite suspicion. Somewhere else, a higher authority reviews your work. Your preparation is now a small part of a larger appraisal. Time stretches. Each tick is a reminder. Decisions arrive on a timetable you cannot control. You watch the city and count moments, aware that the external darkness mirrors the internal pressure. Sealing reports is ritual. It protects content and signals submission to procedure and secrecy. You lock the files away. The safe is a thin comfort. Procedure over privacy. Rules over ease. The day ends for you, but the review does not. The system carries on while you wait for its verdict. This is your first review. Everything you learned about loyalty now becomes a test under the system's gaze. The notice gives no motive, only a schedule. The lack of explanation forces you to anticipate every question. You seek a veteran's counsel. Asking is risky, but experience can be the difference between defense and exposure. The veteran's advice is blunt. Compile everything, correct every error. Loyalty in this system is demonstrated by paperwork. Your first written report becomes evidence. Handwriting, phrasing, even corrections will be read as intent. Sorting leaking files into order is a small, urgent ritual, proof that you can follow the system's rules to the letter. You remember being taught the hierarchy. Every action recorded then was meant to protect the institution and to measure you. The chart maps authority. Your file will pass through these hands. Each signature is a checkpoint of judgment. Past sanctions linger in the files like cautionary tales. They remind you what a negative verdict can mean. Sealing the first batch is symbolic. Submission of your account, sent forward to be weighed by the system. Preparation begins in earnest. Meticulous, silent, and absolute in its attention to detail. The pile grows. Each folder is a small argument you present to the system. Thorough, traceable, defensible. Classifications define access and accountability. Their neatness is meant to reassure the reviewers and you. You check entries until your eyes blur. A single mismatched date could change how your actions are interpreted. The boss is still at work. Their light is a reminder that unseen decisions continue to be formed. A pen becomes an instrument of record. Every stroke helps construct the narrative you'll be judged by. You pause, but rest offers little relief. The pressure is a continued presence, not a temporary state. You recall past tests where silence spoke louder than questions. Those memories frame how you handle this review. Sanctions recorded here are precedent. They show what happens when the system's standards are not met. Everything is secured. Preparation concludes, but the anxiety of judgment lingers like an echo. A missing log surfaces. The system's expectations are relentless. One omission can demand immediate correction. That document is more than hierarchy. It's the procedural backbone that will determine how your case moves forward. You gather every file you can. Quantity won't save you, but omission certainly can condemn you. Fixing dates and details becomes a quiet race against inference. Clarity may protect you from suspicion. These slips are a ledger of your actions, now examined as evidence. The pile is both burden and defense. You correct errors methodically. Small repairs may alter interpretation when the system parses intent. You remember being silently assessed before. That atmosphere taught you how observation can be the sternest test. The memo lists sanctions, a formal reminder that outcomes have been decided and recorded in the past. You log the correction in a new document. Transparency on paper becomes your primary defense. Spotting the boss at work is a quiet reminder. Your file joins many others in an impartial system of review. A single stamped phrase formalizes your status. Under review, an official state that changes how you move forward. Securing the update completes another cycle of preparation, but it doesn't reduce the tension awaiting the meeting. Instructions arrive quietly. The system's communications are discreet, precise, and always procedural. A small slip of paper can change plans. Its silent delivery underscores the system's private channels. The note confirms timing and small adjustments. Each update must be logged and integrated into your dossier. Every communication becomes part of the record. Orderliness signals competence to those who will read your file. The assembled dossier is both armor and ledger. It displays your attempt to meet the system's exacting standard. The clock tightens your focus. With each minute, the review grows nearer and the stakes feel higher. Signing the summary is an admission of record. You finalize your account and submit it for judgment. Everything is in place. Now you wait. The system will take its time to read, compare, and decide. The meeting begins, a formal performance under scrutiny, where records and testimony meet judgment. You step across the threshold. The boss waits, poised, impartial in appearance, exacting in logic. Those folders hold the story the system will read, your actions translated into pages and stamps. A precise question is aimed at a single line. Tests come in small, exacting bursts, meant to probe consistency. You answer with documented proof. Every word is captured and will form part of the permanent file. Time is finite here. The review is a concentrated interval where decisions consolidate from facts and notes. A veteran interrogates the fine points of procedure, forcing you to demonstrate intimate knowledge of the chain of command. You present the correction and explain its provenance. Clarity and calm bolster your credibility here. The pen sits ready to finalize whatever decision follows. Symbols of choice and consequence gather on the desk. Silence deepens while the boss evaluates your responses. The quiet itself feels like an assessor. A notation is added, a small, official mark that will influence the final judgment. The hierarchy on paper frames every decision. Signatures act as the system's verdicts, long after the meeting closes. You justify choices made under secrecy rules, translating procedure into transparent explanation under pressure. Rapid queries test your composure. You rely on preparation and careful vocabulary to navigate scrutiny. The memo lists possible sanctions, a practical ledger of outcomes that hangs over every answer you give. You speak plainly and tie your reports into a cohesive account, showing consistency and loyalty through facts, not rhetoric. The meeting ends, your testimony is recorded. Now the system's processes must reach their conclusion. The recorder goes dark. The spoken record has ended, but the written files will still be parsed and weighed. You collect what you've surrendered to the process. Each page will be read again by invisible hands. Walking away, you replay the meeting. The verdict will come later. Now it's waiting, an open possibility. The verdict stage begins. Official judgment is formalized and then entered into the system's record. You wait as the boss prepares to communicate the outcome. This moment defines what changes, if any, follow. A stamp makes the decision official. That single mark turns deliberation into record. Receiving the sealed verdict, you accept the system's determination, a compact, formal answer to months of scrutiny. You read each line deliberately, parsing consequences and instructions with the same care you used in preparation. Your file is recatalogued and archived. The system absorbs the verdict into its permanent ledger. The boss outlines adjustments and duties. Compliance is not optional. It is the next required step after judgment. You accept the verdict on the record and prepare to implement its directives, moving forward with measured resolve. The phone's brief signals the world keeps functioning. Communications proceed regardless of individual outcomes. A passing nod suggests colleagues have learned the unspoken language of consequence. Little gestures carry meaning here. You return to routine with a new mandate. Compliance and steady output are now part of restoring credibility. Notes document changes. Each amendment is proof that you're aligning with the system's expectations. The clerk's routine handling underscores the system's impartial machinery. Processes continue with unemotional precision. The workplace hums on. The system persists. Individuals shift roles, but the institution endures. An added signature marks adaptation. The hierarchy recalibrates, and that recalibration is now official on paper. A new assignment arrives, a reminder that the system expects work to continue regardless of past findings. Filing the memo is a practical acceptance. You store it and prepare to act on its directives. The closing door signals a cycle complete. The day continues. The system's processes quietly move forward. Under the streetlight, you reflect. The verdict lingers, but life outside the institution flows on with its own rhythms. You move on. The system's lessons go with you. Secrecy, compliance, and a careful watch over every action. The verdict is now part of the record, a formal adjustment inside an inflexible hierarchy. Back at your desk, the atmosphere is altered. Outcomes affect how others position themselves around you. A stamped date seals the consequence. The paperwork ensures the verdict is enforceable and trackable. A new assignment arrives silently. The system reallocates responsibilities as part of its corrective process. You teach new protocols. Though your authority persists, it now carries the weight of recent correction. Archiving secures secrecy. The records are locked away. Part of maintaining order within the hierarchy, directives arrive by phone. Work demands persist, and the system expects you to execute them without delay. Checking deliveries becomes a demonstration of continued diligence. Small acts that rebuild trust in the system. The hierarchy is altered on paper. Where you sit in the chain now reflects the outcome of the review. Routine submission resumes. The system values continuity. Your documents ensure you remain operational within it. A small nod from a colleague acknowledges you quietly. Solidarity persists, even under formal consequence. Noting the consequence formalizes it on the record. The phrase becomes a procedural fact to be referenced later. Attending in observer mode signals a temporary shift in authority, part of the verdict's practical effect. Burning sensitive slips is routine, an act of controlled secrecy to prevent leaks and preserve operational security. Late nights become more common as you adapt. The effort to conform and improve is a quiet, ongoing process. You align past records to new standards. Correction is preventive, the best defense against future scrutiny. The boss's glance acts as a reminder. Vigilance continues. The hierarchy watches not only verdicts, but follow-through. Reports move through the system in sealed forms. The chain of communication is deliberate and controlled. You leave the empty office carrying the weight of the verdict. It accompanies you into the next day's work. Preparing for tomorrow is acceptance in action. You adapt to the hierarchy's demands and ready yourself for continued service.